Shalom, this is Avram Fried. Stay tuned. Taped with Rabbi Doug is next.
Gonna watch Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
Forget about the network programs. Forget about all the great cable shows. There's only one thing for me on Mondays and Tuesday nights. Rabbi Doug.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna watch Rabbi Doug. Yeah, we're gonna watch Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. Glad you could be with us today. We are about to go to the Chicagoland Shmurah Matzoh Factory to see how handmade round matzahs are made for the Seder matzahs that are used all over the country to fulfill the mitzvah of matzah on Passover. On Passover, on the first 2 nights of Passover outside of Israel, we are required to have a Seder. At the Seder each night, we're supposed to eat matzah, which is called Shmurah Matzoh. Different from the boxed square matzah that we might eat during the rest of the Passover holiday that says kosher for Passover on it. This matzah is made from special flour. From the time the wheat is harvested in the fields, there is a mashgiach, a rabbinical supervisor there to make sure that the wheat is dry when it's harvested, and it's kept dry until the time that the flour itself is made and used for the matzah baking in this Shmurah Matzoh bakery. Only Shmurah Matzah is supposed to be used at the Seder to fulfill the mitzvah, and we're going to find out all about that today along with Jerry Sadoff, who's the proprietor of the Chicagoland Shmurah Matzoh Factory. So stay with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
I'm going to tell you right now what I'm going to be showing you in the order. First, I'm going to show you we have to use special water. It's called mayim shalanu. It means that it's rested water. It's been overnight that this water has been here because we're told, that the Gemara tells us, the Talmud says that we have to use water that's cold water. We cannot use warm water. So before there was refrigeration and air conditioning, the only way they could do that was they get the water between sunset and darkness, which is about a 40-minute time period. We have to only do it within a 20 to 25-minute time period. We take the water, and then it has to be a minimum of 12 hours that it has to sit, because the coolest time of day is at night. So 12 hours, the water temperature would go down, so it would become cool water.
You tell them where the water comes from.
The water comes from a natural spring. We get it from a well over at the Cook County Forest Preserve, and it has, this water, this mayim shalanu, has to be natural water. We can't take it out of a faucet. We can't go buy whatever at the grocery store. It has to come from a natural source right from the very beginning. Yes.
Could you get it from a spring?
Yeah, that's a spring or a well.
Could you put it on a refrigerator to make it cold?
Yes. And that's what we do. Actually, because before we actually use it, we end up putting it in the refrigerator for maybe about 10-15 minutes before we actually use it. Now, we have to use special flour, and this flour is called Shmurah flour. The word Shmurah means guarded. We guard it from the time that we do the katsira, from the time that we actually cut the wheat in the field. The rabbi has to be there to watch it all the way from the very beginning to make sure that it never gets wet. We have to make sure that the wheat doesn't get wet. We have to make sure that during the entire process of dechaffing, which takes off everything but that little kernel. Everybody here is eating popcorn, and you know how you get those little kernels at the bottom? Well, a wheat kernel is, not exactly, but it's similar to that. And that's what, when that's crushed up, that's what makes flour.
I heard that before you put it in the matzah, there's like this covering around it, and you're not allowed to eat it. It's like kind of like a...
It's called chaff. That's what he's talking about.
Right. So we take all of that. It has to be, and during the cleaning process, it has to be watched by the rabbi, and then during the milling, it has to be watched by the rabbi. During the bagging, everything until we get it all the way to here has to be completely watched to make sure that it never gets wet so that it can't become chametz. Now, when we mix our water with the flour, that's dough. And that dough, we have 18 minutes to make this into matzah. So in that 18-minute time period, we have to make as many as we can as fast without it, otherwise it becomes chametz.
You know what? We don't have time. Let's save the questions for afterwards.
Okay, you can ask questions after because I may answer them before we get to those, okay? Now everything has to be done by hand. So everything, they're mixed by hand, and then it's given to, we distribute it out to all the rollers. Is this a break? Oh, you're okay, it's between cycles. They're all, I want to make sure that we're going to be able to get moving in there during the cycle. Okay, so now everything is done. It's distributed to the people that have the rolling pins. Each rolling pin is sanded down every 18 minutes because we have to make sure that there's no chametz on it. We have to make sure that they're absolutely clean, and we have a lathe. That's a machine that spins the wood around, and then it takes off just a little bit of that. We sand it down so that it's absolutely clean, that there's nothing that's on there for any possible chametz. Now, in addition to that, after they've rolled out these into nice flat matzahs, then we take it over to a table, and there's a little gadget called a radle. It's a Yiddish word. It's a perforator that puts holes into the matzah. What those holes do is it allows the heat to go through the matzah when it's in the oven. Otherwise, it'll burn the inside because there won't be any way for the heat and air to get out of it, so the heat stays right in the middle and it burns up. After that, then it goes into the oven on poles, and those poles are sanded down every time they're used, and they're laid into our oven. Our oven is about 930 degrees on average temperature. It takes about 20 to 45 seconds for a matzah to be baked, depending on what part of the oven that it's sitting in.
What is the temperature of the oven?
45 seconds. Otherwise, it's complete ashes. Let me finish, and then you can ask.
What is the temperature?
The temperature is roughly about 930 degrees. Then, and it has to be on a stone base, because that's what they did in the desert when they left Egypt. And our oven also bakes from the top, because when they left Mitzrayim, when they left Egypt, that it said that they were baked by the sun. So we have them being baked from top and bottom, so we don't have to flip them. We have a special custom-made oven, and both sides, so that it goes in on one side and goes out the other side. We're the only ones that have that kind of an oven situation. All of the other ovens, they go in and out on the same side.
All right, we're about to pour the water now. 18 minutes till this water becomes matzah, more or less.
piece of dough is rolled into an almost perfect circle. As flat and thin as it can be without falling apart. Each batch of dough that's made, say L'Shem Matzah, which means this is done for the purpose of the commandment being fulfilled of making matzah for Passover at this moment.
Thank you, everybody.
Taking the freshly kneaded dough and passing it out to people for rolling.
All right, everybody, L'Shem Matzah Mitzvah.
You're making your own matzah. Placing the holes in the matzah prevent it from rising when it's baked. Each piece of dough has already had the holes placed in it, and it's the right size. Placed over one pole.
L'Shem Matzah Mitzvah.
And then the pole is placed in the oven. The matzahs are unrolled, and they're baked within seconds. Ariel, how long before they are pulled out of the oven approximately after you put them in?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. And here we can see right inside the oven they're being pulled out.
Taped with Rabbi Doug. Today, L'Shem Matzah Mitzvah. Putting it on the TV show.
Separate it on the conveyor. Check every individual matzah?
Yes, I do.
What is your name?
My name is Ephraim Twerski.
And your father is?
My father is Rabbi Moshe Twerski of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I knew that, but I thought you could tell our audience here. And Rabbi Ephraim, so you're checking them to see if these are proper for what you're bringing back to Milwaukee, is that correct?
No. I live in Chicago.
You live in Chicago?
I'm rabbi of a shul here. These are matzahs that we're baking for the shul.
Oh.
For the members of the shul.
For the members of the shul. So you're actually checking for your own shul?
Right.
Very nice.
You didn't say a number.
That's an A.
And your shul wouldn't happen to be Tiferes Yisrael, would it?
Yes, it is.
How do you like that? On Lincoln Avenue.
Yep. Wow, you're really informed. Hey.
No, I'm Orthodox, not Reformed, but thank you.
Hey.
So these are...
Hey. What we're doing is we're setting all the matzahs that come through here are kosher. We're just separating
the ones that you want for your members.
Right. Ones that are harder and ones that are a little bit softer. These are the B. These are softer than the A. 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 A.
Stay with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. We'll be right back at the Chicagoland Shmurah Matzoh Factory.
I am American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am American.
I am America.
I'm an American.
I am American.
I am an American.
I'm Rabbi Jake Carson from Jerusalem.
And I'm Rabbanit Ruby Ray Carson from Jerusalem.
And you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
We now return to the Chicagoland Shmurah Matzoh Factory right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Take off challah. The mitzvah of challah is ordinarily in the Torah it says that you're supposed to take off challah off of a dough, a dough, challah dough, matzah dough, or
anything you bake with.
Anything you bake, it has to be a thick dough, though. If it's a liquidy dough, like when you bake sponge cake and marble cake, then you don't have.
And then it's also when you're only baking more than 5 pounds at a time, approximately.
Exactly. Actually, there's a machlokes what exactly the shear is. So what we do is under 3 pounds, you don't take off any challah. Over 5 pounds of. We're talking about flour now. Right. Under 3 pounds of flour, you don't take off challah. Over 5 pounds of challah, you do take off challah. Between 3 and 5, you take off challah
without a blessing. Right.
Now, as long as the Beis Hamikdash was, we still had the Beis Hamikdash, we used to give the challah to the kohen, and only the kohen is allowed to eat it. Nowadays, that we don't have, the Beis Hamikdash is not here, and kohanim are all. Everybody is tamei, so therefore the kohen cannot eat the challah. So we take off the challah and it is burnt.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When we're familiar, for those people who are familiar with, like on the side of a box, challah is taken and so on and so forth. When it says that, or you go to a bakery, you know challah was taken in advance, and we're not talking about challah bread, we're talking about this portion of dough. It's generally, you think of it as taken, before they bake the dough, they take a portion of the dough off of the corner before it's baked, and they burn that in the oven separate from cooking whatever they're baking. In this case, now we're taking challah from something that's already baked. What is the difference between taking it before and taking it after?
And now, the mitzvah l'chatchila, the preferable way of doing the mitzvah is taking it off the dough. In the case of matzah, if we would take it off the dough and then leave it around, it would become chametz. We don't want any chametz around the matzah bakery. So that's why what we do is we bake the doughs that we make are not a shear of challah. We make sure it's under 3 pounds of dough at a time, and therefore the shear only forms once it's collected as matzah. Now we have more than 5 pounds of matzah here, and so now we for sure have a shear that's chayav b'challah. So now we can take off challah while it's once it's matzah.
And you're going to actually make a bracha when you do this.
Yes.
Rabbi Twerski, why are you covering this whole pile of matzah together?
Ordinarily, we would have to take off challah off of each pile of challah, each pile of matzah, or at least each shelf. By covering it, I'm combining all the matzah under this covering. It's all considered now one big pile, and so the challah I take off.
The one piece will suffice for the whole.
Not me.
Amen. Now, how much has to be taken from all this?
So a small piece. It has challah does not have a shear exactly to us. How much has to be taken?
It looks good, but it's good. It looks good, but look how fat it is.
And what's on the top?
We're here at the Matzah Bakery. I'm here with Rabbi Unger. People have already switched over their dishes. Everybody's keeping kosher with Pesach. And here you are today, baking matzahs on Erev Pesach. Rabbi Unger, what is the reason that many Hasidic sects have the tradition to come after already everybody is keeping Pesach with all the laws of the food and baking matzah today?
Today we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. Time Beis Hamikdash with the Korban Pesach was brought after Chatzos.
After midday.
After midday. So the significance of baking matzahs Erev Pesach, even at such a busy time right now, that's to commemorate the Korban Pesach which happened during the Beis Hamikdash.
Let me ask you a question. Isn't there a concern that flour and things that are together are going to become chametz that you're not using, but you're waste and they're in your possession? Meaning that when you change everything every 18 minutes to make sure that there's no chametz.
Before we start, we say everything that we throw away be hefker. Null and void, it's not ours. We remove ourselves from it. Okay?
All right, very good. Thank you very much, and Chag Sameach.
Thanks for joining us this week. I want to thank Jerry Sadoff. I want to thank Rabbi Unger. I want to thank Rabbi Twerski and all those at the Chicagoland Shmurah Matzoh Factory. And I want to thank all of you for being with us. Remember, you can check out our website at www.tvrabbi.com. And you can email us at info@tvrabbi.com. And we hope to see you next time, same place right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom.
I ba me barna sabe